Hello, guys. Can you hear me? Let me know in the comment section if you can hear me. This is my first live stream, so it's a bit weird. Do let me know in the comment section if you can hear me. We are going live. We start in the next 2 minutes. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Yeah. If you are here, say something in the comment section. Let me know whether you can hear me. So today we will be talking about whether to invest or to buy property. Thank you, Joe. Joe can hear me. Yeah. Share. I think that is the language on YouTube or on social media for that matter. Share with a friend to share with a friend. We'll be going live we'll start in the next 1 minute so that we make a start at 7. I'll start with a bit of a prose to set the tone for for tonight's conversation. And then others can, use the comment section to ask questions that you may have. I'm not entirely sure whether you are able to call in or, Thank you very much, Daniel. It's nice to have you too. So I can see 10 people already joined the stream. So that's fantastic. All right, I'll start in the next minute. All right. So I was going to say the time is 7 o'clock, and this is, that's where careers and investments. So thank you very much, all of you who have joined me in tonight's live stream. It is the first of hopefully, many streams, particularly in these times that we live in, where, we live in very peculiar times, and we all need this conversation, to be a space where we can really come to share what we're thinking of, whether it's a dilemma, a conundrum, whatever that it is, to have somebody to share these with, and then I'll share my 2 pennies. Remember, whatever information that is shared on this platform is my own opinions, and it's not financial advice, and your circumstances may be different. But I'm happy to share my thoughts on it, and hopefully that means something to you or gives you something to think about. But whatever decision that is made, you would have to bear responsibility of it. That said, at least it is coming from an informed perspective, so something to think about. And use the comment section to let me know, if there's something you want me to also think about. So in tonight's conversation, I want us to really address, the question whether to buy property or to invest in. And by investing, I mean whether to invest in the stocks and shares market. What are your thoughts on it to begin with? You can use the comment section to let me know. But we live in a time where inflation is currently, quite high. I'll spare you a lot of mathematics tonight. So inflation is high. That means, the items you buy in the shops, when you go, the prices keep increasing. That has compounded, the cost of living crisis that we are all in. Energy, everything is going up. So essentially, if you have money in the bank, say if you have £1,000 in the bank or $1,000, 1,000 cedis, whatever amount you have in the bank, if you go to the shop to buy something after a month or 2, you can't buy the same things you could have bought with £1,000 today. So your money is essentially losing value. So in an ideal situation, you would want to have your money in a savings account or in a bank or somewhere whereby it is paying you the same interest rate as inflation. So that if I could buy, a crate of Coke or a crate of, Malta Guinness or whatever, a bag of rice, if I could buy a bag of rice for £1,000 today, and I go back to the shop in a month time, and it is selling for 1,001, I would want my money in the bank to have also risen by the same £100 so that at least I could use my money essentially has the same purchasing power. It doesn't lose value. But that is idealistic. That doesn't exist. There is really no, in fact, on Monday, I'll release a video that will tell you all the high interest paying accounts. I have received £200 this week by simply creating a new account, by switching my bank. I've received £200. So I'll upload that video on places where you can get these free bonuses. But we know that the maximum you can get in a savings account, an easy access savings account today, is actually 2.753%. So that doesn't match the 10% inflation at all. In fact, officially, inflation is 10%, but we know that it's way over that. I was going to buy bread last week. I like, freshly baked bread. And the woman said, £2. Bread for £2? I told her, I'm not buying again. I'll go and bake my own. I'm buying flour, give me the flour and margarine. How much do they sell that? I'm going to mix it myself and bake my own thing. So prices are increasing is the point I want to make here. So let's go back. Let's come to the main question. So the point is, you want to put your money where it will give you the most value, because we know that in a savings account, the max you are getting is 3%. That would be good, but 3% is still doesn't match inflation, so your money will be losing value over time. The two main things people have been asking me, and it is in response to that why I'm really having this video is, Shadrach, do I invest in the stock market or I should, buy property? So in this presentation or, in this live session, and I'll be reading your questions, I'll take it in three forms, actually. I'll first to address the peculiar circumstance of first-time buyers, as in those who are now coming to buy their own property. You've been saving, and it is hard to save. And I know how hard it is to save. It is hard to save, and you've managed to save 10,000, 15, 20,000, and you're thinking of doing something with it to buy a property. But interest rates have risen that it seems like a crazy time. It is estimated that property prices are going to go down. So what do you really do? Should I buy now or I should wait? When is a perfect time to buy? Are we at the bottom of the market yet? Or I should invest the money and then buy later? So I would address the first circumstance, the first scenario for first-time buyers. And here, bear with me with some, we'll have to do some calculation and please, keep emotions out of this conversation. If you watched my video on, things, to know before you buy a house, you know that emotions is the first thing to keep aside. So don't be emotional about these conversations. So in the first scenario where you are a first-time buyer, everybody needs shelter. So that is something you need a roof over your head at any point in time. So currently, I presume you are renting, or you may be living with a friend or family, or you're paying something towards rent. So as a first-time buyer, the first thing to consider is, what is the value of the property you really want to buy? I'm presuming that you've already been shopping around. If you've not shopped around, please do. Use Zoopla or, Rightmove, S1 Properties, any app check the value of the property you want to buy. But even before we come to the value of the property you want to buy, you want to check your affordability. And that is crucial in these times, because affordability means whether you can afford the house or not, whether the bank would even give you the loan or not. And they use a standard formula. If you're a single buyer, they use 4.5 times your gross income, all things being equal. All things being equal, or fingers crossed. Because if you've got loans and your monthly outgoings, your monthly expenses, your dependence is quite high, then all that will reduce your gross income. So, but all things being equal, they use the formula 4.5 times your gross income. So assuming that your gross salary is 35,000 per annum, I'm talking of pounds here. So if you're buying a loan, they will lend you 4.5 times 35,000, and that is 157,000. So you know that if you earn 35,000, the bank will lend you up to say 150,000. So already you know that is the maximum the bank will lend you, all things being equal. Now, if the maximum the bank will lend you is 4.5 times your single salary, the gross of your salary, so it's 150,000 if you earn 35,000, and you want to buy a place worth 180,000, it only means that you have to cough up 30,000 from your savings or somewhere, you know. But if you want to buy a place worth 150,000, it doesn't mean the bank will give you all the 150,000 that, oh, Shadrach, well done. 150,000 is what we'll give you. So they'll give you that. No, you will still be expected to put down a deposit. So whether 5%, 10%, 20%, however much you can put down. The more you put down, the lower the interest rate. And that is crucial. The more you put down, the lower the interest rate. What is this interest rate? The money the bank is giving you is money they have also borrowed from somewhere. And currently, that is what is known as base rate. The base rate for the banks now is about 3%. So if the bank is borrowing at 3%, they're not going to give it to you at 1%. Unless they, maybe you are beautiful, you are handsome, and the bank go like, Shadrach, because of your baritone voice and your looks, will give you, at a lower price. No, nobody does that. The bank is not a charity. They are looking for money. The bank is looking for money. So if they are borrowing at 3%, they'll add 2% to it, give it to you at 5%, or even 3%, give it to you at 6%. And that is important. So if you are bringing a greater proportion, the interest is lower. But if you put 5%, the interest is maybe 7% or 8%. If you bring 10%, the interest is maybe 6%. If you bring 20%, these are arbitrary numbers, but it's just to give you an idea how this works. So let's go to our example. So you put down, you're buying a place worth, your affordability, how much the bank will lend you, how much deposit you want to put down. You've seen a property at a particular value. Now, that will influence the interest rate. And this is the important bit. If you manage to buy the place, assume you buy a place of, say, 200,000, you've put down. So if you are buying with a partner, a couple, your couple or your friend or something, the bank uses 3.5 times the sum of your gross income. So you earn 30,000, your partner earns 30,000. That would be 60,000. And the bank will use 3.5 times 60,000. And that is 210,000. So it only makes sense that, you can afford more, that is the maximum they will lend you. So if you are a couple buying and both of you are working, you can borrow more. Essentially, that's what it means. You can borrow more, meaning your affordability is higher. I know there is a temptation for people now that, the bank will lend us, 210,000. So we are buying a place worth 200,000 or buy a big place. So let's assume you are buying a place worth 200,000 and you're putting down 10% deposit. So that is 20,000. So you are borrowing 180,000. So it's within your affordability, because the bank will not give you more than is within your affordability. No, they won't. In fact, now they do what is known as a stress test. They see if you put 10% down, and that is 20,000 on 200,000 house, and the interest rate is say 5%. They do what is known as a stress test. That if the interest rate should rise by 1%, can you still afford it? If you can still afford it, then they are more confident to give you the money. If it should rise by 2%, can you still afford it? So that's what they do. Now, that said, you put down 20,000 to borrow and then borrow 180,000 because you're buying a place worth 200,000. So you've borrowed 180,000, put down 20,000. If the interest rate at the moment is say 6%, because that's a year or two ago, you could get an interest rate of 2%, 1.5%. Now, it doesn't even exist. Forget it. It doesn't exist because the banks themselves are borrowing at 3%. So they're not going to give it to you sub 3. They will add their own pips to it and then sell it to you at, say, 5 or 6%. So if you're borrowing 180,000 at 6%, that comes to a month. That will come to a monthly payment of about £1,027. If you're joining from America, you can convert to dollars, or you can assume it's dollars. So if you borrow 180,000 at 6%, that is £1,027 per month. Now you ask yourself, can I afford to pay £1,027 per month? Maybe, maybe not. But of this £1,027 that you are paying, it is not all reducing the 180,000 you've borrowed. No. Some of this goes to reduce the 180,000 you borrowed, and some of it goes towards the interest for the bank, for lending you the money, the interest on the loan. And at 6%, £900 is interest. If this was a live Zoom, if it was a Zoom, I would have wanted to hear a, like that, that African onomatope, sound. A, yes. For £1,027 that you paid, £900 is interest for the bank, and only £127 is going towards the deposit. Is going towards the deposit, the 180,000 you borrowed, and this is at 6% for 35 years. So that is it. Now you ask yourself, for every month paying £900 interest to the bank, I think that is the crux of the whole thing. Is that affordable? Is that affordable? And I'll leave that to you to answer. Because you need to compare that to where you currently live. If you are renting, what is your rent? Is it 500, 600? If that is the case, and the interest on the loan is more than your current rent, then perhaps you are not ready to buy. So you may want to increase your deposit so that the interest rates can come down, or welcome, Bernard. Or so you can wait and then save a bit more and then increase your deposit so that the interest will come down, or you can buy a cheaper place, a less expensive place. If you were buying a 3-bedroom detached house, then perhaps you should be looking at a flat or something, which is affordable, which the price is lower. Because if you borrow, if you're buying a place worth say 100,000 and you put down 10,000 as a deposit and you borrow 90,000, at the same 6%, every month you'll be paying 513, and the interest on that is 450, exactly half of 900. So that is 450. Even though the amount that is going to reduce the loan is only £63, at least the interest on that can be affordable. So it's £450, which may be still higher than your rent, but it's not 900. So you see how buying a more expensive place can cost you more, especially in these times. There's also another solution. It is not hopeless that, it means I can't buy a place because I don't have. No, it's not that hopeless. An alternative is that if you bought a 200,000 place and you put down 20,000 and borrowed 180,000 at 6%, and so that the monthly interest going to the bank is £900, then it means that the place you are trying to buy may be too big or may be quite expensive for you. So what you want to do is that you can sublet a room in the house in order to raise some money to reduce the interest. So if you have 1 spare room or 2 spare rooms, you can rent out those rooms. And then if somebody pays you rent of say £400 or £500, it reduces the interest, because still that money is going to the bank for free. So it reduces the interest by £400. And so it now becomes £500. If you rent another room out, it reduces it up to even £100. And then, so the point is, I would always want to, as far as it's possible, to ensure that the interest on the mortgage that I'm paying is either equal to or less than my current rent. Because if rent is cheaper than owning the place, then I don't see the value in owning the place. If your rent could be cheaper, because owning a place comes with responsibility, and there are other costs we need to factor in. Owning a place will come with insurance. The pipe may stop at some point, it needs fixed. If you are renting, you call your landlord, senior, the pipe is not flowing, your landlord will come and fix. But if you own the place, you are the landlord, you would need to fix that thing. So there are these little costs you need to do, which you may not be prepared for if you are if you are the house owner. So these are the costs you need to be aware. That said, it is not hopeless. It is for you to be aware of these numbers, because as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to money, every money has a name. 1,000 is a number. 5,000 is a number. 10,000, 1 million is a number. Every money has a name. So it's an issue of numbers, not emotions. As far I can see the emotional element, but yeah, to make right decisions, you have to reduce the emotions a bit. So I think that is the first thing that when it comes to first-time buyers, because renting gives you the liberty to choose where you want to live. You can move out after 2 months, nothing spoiled. But if you buy the house, you can't just leave after 2 months. You can leave after 6 months under certain conditions, but it's still a bit of a hassle. So you want to be sure of that. So just to summarize what I've said regarding first-time buyers so far, in these times, we live in a time where interest rates are high because the base rate is even 3%. So the banks will add their own pips to it and then lend the money to you. Whatever that you borrow from the bank, you pay at the end of the month, which is your mortgage. And that comes, some of that money goes towards the principal, some goes towards the interest. Be sure to demarcate how much of my monthly mortgage is going towards principal and how much is going towards interest. And now, when you realize how much is the interest, because the principal goes towards reducing the loan. So in the end, when you sell the house, you get that back. You go for a loan of 180,000. Every month you are paying 127. Every month 127. When you sell your house, you don't owe the bank 180,000 again because you've been paying 127. Even though you were paying 1,027, 900 was interest. So that 900 is non-countable. They don't count that one. So yeah, so you don't owe 180,000 again. So it is the interest I would want you to check whether it is cheaper than your rent, because that would be a good thing. That, if it's cheaper than your rent, then fab. If not, then you want to rethink. Do you wait and save more to reduce the interest rates? That's the first option. Or two, do you buy a cheaper place? So if you're thinking of a 3-bedroom detached house with a pool and maybe consider a flat, Or thirdly, you buy the place with the intention that you will rent out some of the rooms. Some of the mortgage terms can, frown upon these things. So you want to be careful with that. You want to check that carefully. And also, I would not buy a place with the intention that, I'm going to rent some out. What if you don't get a tenant? Because if you're buying especially a new places tend to be far off from the city. So would you get somebody to come and rent at that place if they don't drive, So these are some of the things you want to consider before you, go into that. With that said, I need to add that it is estimated that that house prices are going to fall in the next year or two. So if the numbers are not adding up now, you may be in a good place to stay where you are and then save like crazy. Well, not like crazy, but save as much as you can. Because in these times, they say cash is king. Because people are having to remortgage their houses. And some of them, the interest rate they're going to get, they cannot afford anymore. So they would have to sell their place or to buy a smaller place. Properties will come onto the market and the prices will go down. It's estimated between 10 to 30%. So if you have money sitting down, then you are ready. Once prices come down, you go in, you buy. So if I was to be a first-time buyer now, I think I wouldn't wait too much, but I'll be monitoring closely. I'll be monitoring until I see something that is, that meets my need. So that is the first part for first-time buyers. Let me know what you think of, the suggestions, or do you have counter views? Whether you've even taken a mortgage recently, what was the rate you got it for, so that we can use some realistic numbers. But this 6% is based on research also. Do you think it's better to take a fixed? Oh, okay. So Daniel is asking, do you think it's better to take a fixed interest mortgage rate compared to a flexible one? Thanks. And John is asking, if you own a property outright and do not owe any bank, should you sell? Really good questions. Really good questions. So Daniel, to the question of whether you should fix or not, it's a tricky one, really. My question would be, what is the interest rate you are getting at the moment? Because in the next year, it is estimated, and these are all estimates, we don't know how things are going to go really. It's estimated that the base rate is going to rise a bit more, even hit 4% or something before it comes down. If you're on a variable rate, so you can go for 3 types of mortgages or even more. You either fix it with the bank, which means to go into a contract with the bank that, okay, for the next 2 years or for the next 5 years, keep the interest rates at 6%, and I'll pay that amount throughout. That means that whether interest rates increase or decrease, you are fixed. And that can be disadvantageous, If interest rates decrease, you're already fixed. So you are fixed. You can't change it. But if you're in a variable rate, that means that you can change as the interest rate changes, your interest rate will also change. That comes with a disadvantage also, because for a fixed rate, you know that I'm paying 1,000 every month. Whether it rains or shine, it's 1,000. You can plan with it, you can budget with it, and then you move on. But with a variable rate, once the Bank of England increases interest rates, your mortgage rate also increases. And so today you are paying 1,000, tomorrow you are paying 1,002, and you can't really plan with it. So in the next few years that it's estimated that the base rate would increase, perhaps if you can afford to fix it, I would fix it, if it's a good rate, because it's going to go up. It's going to come down in the next 2 years or so. So I would fix it. But you have a choice to fix it for 2 years or 5 years. These are the standard ones. I would fix for 2 years with the hope that after 2 years, things will calm down and then I can get a cheaper rate. Because if you fix for 5 years and interest rates drop after 2 years, you are locked for another 3 years. So for the next 3 years, you'll be paying a higher interest rate. So I would fix, but for 2 years. That would be my approach. Let me know what you think. So Pili said he got it. I think he got a mortgage recently for 6.34. Wow. That is the rates at the moment. Do you know, Pili? I don't know who you are, but do you know how much of, what was the value of your property that you bought? How much of your monthly mortgage is interest and how much is the principal? If you know these statistics, do let us know so that we can have some conversations here. So I've already proposed, a couple of ideas that either increase your deposit to reduce the interest rate, or two, buy a cheaper place so that the loan you have is not so much and so the interest rate is lower, or buy but have the mindset that you would find somebody to sublet one of your rooms to, but being aware that your location will be important, because if it's in a far place and nobody comes to rent, you would have to bear the bill. Now, cash is king. Cash will be king in these times. So if you feel that actually my rent is cheaper than the interest on the loan, so I'm gonna hold on a bit and keep saving and keep saving. So you are saving. Once you see a good deal, you rush in, you buy, and then you move on. Now, somebody will ask, Shadrach, so while I am waiting, why can't I invest that money in the stock market, or where should I keep the money when I'm thinking of buying? The stock market, as we know, the rates are unpredictable. People are employed. People have studied. People are on Wall Street. They are not sleeping. They are predicting. They want to know, is it going up or it's coming down? Me, I don't have that brain to predict these things. So the rule of thumb is this: that stock market goes up and down, but we know that in the long term it rises. The rule of thumb is that if you need your money within 5 years, then save in a bank so that whenever you need the money, you can access it. But if you will take the money after 5 years, then perhaps you can put in the stock market, because it may rise, it may fall, it may rise, it may fall. But in 5 years, you are pretty sure that you get some value for your money. And that would be my own, advice, not financial advice, but my own suggestion even, that if you are thinking of buying in the next 2 years, that I'm waiting for the market to go down and then I'll buy, then you want to have your money in a savings account, which you have access to. Even you can choose to fix it, in some of these fixed savings accounts where you don't have access to the money, but you know that you are promised an interest for 6 months or for 1 year. On Monday, I'm going to upload that video on the best banks to have at the moment. There are some where you can fix for 6 months and you get like 4%. So 6 months is not really that long. If you're thinking of buying a place, by the time you see the place, you apply for mortgage, 6 months would have, it takes usually 3 to 4 to 5 months. So by that time, the time is over already. So you can do the 6 months and keep rolling over and see how it goes, But, Aldemar will give you 2.75 at the moment. Chase is giving you 2.1. Marcus is giving you 2.5. If your money is in money box, you get 3%. So there are good rates around. So if you think you'll be buying within 5 years, even within 2 years, I would say keep the money in a savings account. But if you know that, I'm going to buy after 5 years, all this craziness, I can't deal with it, in a very Scottish manner. I can't deal with it. If you can't deal with all that is going on and you want to put it in there, you are buying after 5 years, then perhaps you can put it in the stock market, knowing that. But even that, how do you push it in the stock market? Because stocks are coming down. So you may buy today and tomorrow stock markets drop. You don't need to panic. I've already warned you. Take emotions out of this conversation. so that, if it drops, we know that it will rise. But see my latest video that I uploaded on, things you need to know before investing in the stock market. I talk about dollar cost averaging. Instead of buying 10,000 at once, you can choose to, buy it every month, maybe 2,000, 2,000, 2,000, so that it averages out, and then you see how it's going, and then you balance it out. So that is one. Oh, so Pili says, I don't know about how much the difference until I listen to you. Oh yeah. So he's saying that he did not know the difference. So I think he is somebody who has gone for a mortgage but was not aware of the differences between, the how much is going towards the principal and how much is going towards the interest. And I think he listened to me last week and he was stunned. That stand is that a good thing or bad thing? I don't know. I hope I didn't hurt your feelings. Sorry, but the truth. Oh, are you saying that? Oh, okay. So are you saying that your monthly mortgage is 2,700? What is the value of your property? I can work the numbers and see. Yeah. All right. So John had also asked that if you own a property outright, would you, and you don't owe any bank, should you sell if the property has increased in value or still keep it? Well, John, if you if you sell the property because the value has appreciated, you still need a place to sleep, I would presume. So what would be the strategy if you sell? Is it to sell to buy a smaller place or buy and take a mortgage? I'll be interested to know what your plan is. Unless you have a second property or you would rent and wait. What is the plan? I would need some more detail. So these are general information, but everyone's circumstance will dictate, how they should approach it. So I've talked about first-time buyers, the possible dilemma you may face, and the possible solutions as regards to whether buying, waiting, buying, renting, or to invest in the stock market. Now, let's go to those who are remortgaging. Yeah, it refers to those who already own their place and will be remortgaging next year, or having to go for a new loan. I find myself in a similar position, and bruv, or dear, it's not a good place to be in. I got my mortgage at an interest rate of 1.82 or 1.83. 1.83. It was so good. In fact, I know a friend who got his for 1.9 something, 1 point under 2%. He fixed it for 5 years, so he's in heaven. Like, I called him to tell him that, bro, that is the blessing of the Lord in your life, that you fixed it for 5 years. So for the next 3 years, he is in honeymoon because he got the value interest rate at 1 point under 2% essentially. Some of us have to remortgage next year, and I will be lucky to get anything under 5%. So I'm faced with a scenario. What do I do? Because I've got a loan of, I think, over 100,000. It's not a lot, but it's still over 100,000. At 6%, I'll be paying like nearly £500 in interest. £500 in interest is not a lot compared to others, but I'm still not comfortable paying £500 in interest in the bank. So, what are my options? My options are, I'll need a place to sleep, so I can't sell and go and rent or something. So my options are to overpay my mortgage. So overpay to mean that, remember, every year the bank usually allows you to pay more than 10% of the value that you've agreed to pay. So we fixed it, and every month we are paying, say, 700 or 800, but we can overpay by 10% of it. So we can choose to overpay. The advantage of overpaying then means that at the point when we are remortgaging, we would have built equity. We would have built, because whatever you overpay goes towards the principal. So apart from the interest, if I overpay by £100, my loan reduces by £100. If I overpay by 200, in that order. So my aim now is to overpay quickly, so that by the time I'm remortgaging, going for a new condition, I don't own the bank, a lot. I rather owe small. And even if you apply, 6% on 100,000 or 90,000, it's 450. But if you apply that on 200,000, it's 1,000 or 900. So I'm overpaying with the hope of reducing my. So in this science, what you want to do is to reduce your debt as much as is possible. As far as it's possible, you want to reduce your debt, and that is exactly what I'm doing. I'm overpaying, but For those who know me, know that there's nothing simple with with me. I'm not simply overpaying. I am actually saving in a high interest paying account with the hope of overpaying with that, so that I'm already making some interest on the money I'm saving, and then when I'm ready to remortgage, I overpay with it. If you are in that position, you would understand what I'm talking about. So, all right. So, John is saying that the plan is to sell, keep the cash for when prices fall in 2 to 3 years, and buy two properties with the same money. Then you must know what you are doing. So that is a possible strategy to sell off the property, because rather than waiting for the property prices to crash, in which case you lose some profits. So, but you have to work the numbers. How much are you going to get now compared to how much will they crash by? Because you, for the period where you are renting, that is what, if you're renting for £500 a month, that is 6,000 a year gone. In 2 years, that is 12,000 gone. So do you think that it will drop by more than 12,000, that you will get the value? So you get where I'm driving at. But yeah, it depends on the numbers. But I think you may be better, renting, selling to rent for the meantime, but keep the money in, a high interest paying account, with the hope that once property prices drop, you enter the market and then you buy, maybe two places. I'll be interested to know where you are, whether you are in Scotland or in England, because there'll be tax implications when you're buying multiple properties and all of that, which, I mean, you need professional advice to, know how to manage. Wow, the Nanel Griselda is on the page. Wow. Guys, share this that Nanel is here. Everybody ought to come. This is where we are sharing, the wisdom. Nanel herself is here. Thank you very much for joining, Nanel. So John, I see you know what you want to do, but obviously, it will be a risk you have to take. But if the predictions are right, then you are in a good place if you don't have. But come to think of it, John, this is a possible thought too. If you don't have any mortgage on your house, and can you, assume, if you're renting for, okay, if you're renting for 500, or how much is your rent going to be? If you're renting for 500 in 2 years, it means you could save 12,000 if you are renting. So will that 12,000 be enough for you to buy a place? I think I would have considered that thought also. So that instead of selling my place, because what if the property, it doesn't crash enough that I can, you can sell or something, or buy. If you can, save that, pay yourself that rent in an account, and then save 20,000, and once the property market crashes, you enter, buy one, and then it depends on what you think is going to happen. But these are the risks we ought to take as whether property investors or even passive investors. These are some of the thoughts. But the idea for this conversation really is to give you those ideas to consider. And it can be a lot of things to think about, but look at the numbers. How does it play out? So I guess I'll leave it for now, and then take your questions. If you can, I don't know if there's a possibility for somebody to call in. I'll have to learn from Nanel how she does that, for people to call in. I'm using the YouTube live function, so I don't think that would allow somebody. Oh, actually, somebody can. No, it doesn't allow somebody to join. But I'm reading the comment, so I'll respond to your engage. Okay. All right. So I'll be reading the comments and be able to, answer your questions. So that is where we are really. But for those who are in a place where they are thinking of, Shadrach, okay, I want to, save towards buying, but also invest in the stock market. What do you think? Oh, I think it's a good time to invest in the stock market, especially for new people, because stock prices are coming down. And there are those who are like, stock prices are crashing. What do I do? It is time for you to buy. You've always wanted to buy a land in Lekki, or I don't know, which is the prestigious city in your village or something, prestigious village, or town from where you come from. You wanted to buy land in Lekki, you wanted to buy land in East Legon, you wanted to buy land in Dar es Salaam. Land prices were always selling for 1 million shillings, 1 million cedis, 1 million naira. Today, land prices are crashing. It's selling for 50,000. This is your time to buy, because after 5 years, the value will go up. My warning, though, will be this, that if you are thinking of buying a property, as well as investing at the same time, you ought to be sure that, because that's opportunity cost, the money you push into the stock market will not be available to you to buy a place because it wouldn't have really matured that much. So that is what you need to think about. Are you better off saving your money to buy a place before going into investing in the stock market, or you do half and half, or however you want to push it? Because come to think of it, for every month that you are renting, paying £500 to your landlord, that is money gone. But if you bought a place, perhaps after paying the interest on the mortgage, you may save yourself £200 or £300. Would you get that if you invested the money in the stock market? Nah, I don't think so. I don't think I'm going to make £200 per month in the stock market in these times. So that is what you need to think about, the opportunity cost. Are you better off saving to buy a place, enter the property ladder now that prices are dropping, or you enter? So that is something to also think about. If I were in that position, I would do a bit of this, a bit of that, just to hedge myself, you know. Because it's also a good feeling to know that I've started something, even if it means £100 or £200 deposited in the stock market. I'll do that and leave it there, because there's a bit of a good feeling. Yeah, I have emotions also. I get a bit excited to know that I've started, because that is often it is that inertia, that starting inertia, that is hard. So that once I can overcome that, that, oh, I've started it. It's easier to add 20 or £100 when you already have 200 there, than to actually find the £100 to start it. That is the difficult part. So that is something to also think about, because money pushed into the stock market is not accessible until. So what are your thoughts? What would you do? Actually, let me know what you're thinking of. What is your position? Are you a first-time buyer, or you are remortgaging, or you've recently bought a place like Nanel? Yeah, she shared it on her YouTube channel. So it's common knowledge. Congrats on that anyway. Are you able to share details with us, exclusively on this platform? Well, it's personal though, but if you're able to share, what was the interest rate? What interest rate did you get, Nanel, really? Because now interest rates are, over 6%. I'm actually curious, what rates did you get? So Bernard is saying that if you have cash, if you have ready cash, can you buy the property outright? Oh, yeah, Bernard. If you have cash, see, you can even ask for a reduction if you have cash. You are known as cash buyer, and you are treated like a king in the property market. If you have cash, oh, they would love you, because there's no mortgage issue. There's no, they love you. And if you have that cash, you can actually beat the price down. In fact, I'm gonna, it will be a long process. I will share a link. Yeah, I'll share a link in the description box after I save this video to upload. There's actually a place selling somewhere in England whereby the sellers are saying that if you buy it, they will pay £900 towards your mortgage for the next 2 years. So we're already seeing signs that they are struggling to sell it. So now they say that if you buy this place, we'll even give you £900 every month for the next 2 years. In fact, here in Glasgow, Taylor Wimpey, which is many of you will know Taylor Wimpey. Taylor Wimpey has a property in Newton Mens in Glasgow, whereby if you buy it, they'll pay you £500 towards your mortgage for the next 2 years. The signs are clear. The end time is near. They are struggling to sell these places. If they say, if you buy, we'll help you, because they know that the interest rate is crazy, that for whatever you buy, maybe £900 is interest to the bank. So we'll pay 500 of it for you for the next 2 years. So that can be a good thing. You can go for it knowing that, but you think you have to be wise that after 2 years when they pull out, will you still be able to sustain? So those can be some of the thoughts. So there are signs that the property market is slowing down. My mortgage advisor, who is also a personal friend, texted me that, Shadrach, relax, because I think a couple of weeks ago, we had this conversation about, earlier when I told me, Shadrach, don't worry, from your interest rate was 1.83. By the time you come to remortgage, it may be 5 or something, but don't worry, it will only add a few £100 to it. I was like, no, James, I've done the mathematics. It's not £100. It's going to add significant amount to my monthly payments. So he worked the numbers and then texted me that, Shadrach, oh, you were right. You will not be happy to hear this, but it's going to be significant. I was like, yeah, no. So he also agreed that, well, overpay your mortgage if possible, and then reduce your debt. You want to reduce your debt as far as is possible. Another thing I think I can mention here is, all right, I'll just leave that bit of. Some people will argue that instead of overpaying, you should invest that money. Well, remember, how long are you going to take to overpay? Would you, if you need the money within 5 years, I'll say save it in a higher paying interest account. Let me use my case. My mortgage interest rate is 1.83, super low. I mean, those were the good days, the good old days. Now it's going to go to, very high. But now let me know what you think. Do you think I should overpay my mortgage, or I should put the overpayment in a savings account, which will pay me 3%? Because my mortgage is actually 1.8%. So should I overpay the 1.8%, or I should put it in an account? If you've listened to my videos on stoozing, this is a typical stoozing question. This is a typical stoozing question. Yeah, answer that question in the comment section. Let me read some comments. Nanel says, our financial guru. Nanel, you are very kind. Bernard says, so Bernard, I've answered the question. Yeah. If you have cash, you are king. Cash is king, and you are the king of kings. John is asking, you are so right. Technically, I don't pay rent, yes. So I pay rent to myself. Yeah. So John agrees with that scenario. Yeah. And John, you are in a beautiful place. With all these interest rates going, you will sleep in peace. All you need to pay is your energy bills and all those things. Nanel, God has blessed you, Nanel. You are a blessing. You must organize a party for us. You got 3 point something in these times. Wow. You've done the right thing to fix it for 5 years, because interest rates are now in the 6 point something. For us to see 3 point something will take a few years. So I would have done the same. Of course, this is not financial advice, but I would have done same in your place. Fixed for 5 years, you are getting for 3 point something. That must have been maybe a year ago. When did you log this in? Oh yes, I need to say this also. If you are going to be remortgaging, call your bankers now. Get an interest rate. Get an agreement in principle. You can remortgage. You can get an agreement in principle from 6 months' time. Get it, keep it down. If interest rates reduce, go for a new deal. But if it rises, you already have a deal. That is what you want to do. You want to get a deal down before interest rates go up or down. Once it goes up, you already have a deal agreed in principle. An agreement in principle means that they have agreed that they will give you that loan at that rate, all things being equal. So you want to do that, unless, so if prices come down, rates come down, you go for a new deal. It's not binding. It's an agreement in principle. Yeah, you said you give me the money. I said I don't want the money again. There's no fight in this one. It is me that I don't want the money. There's no fight in this one. Yeah. Wow. Now that's beautiful. Actually, that's beautiful. We should have the next live show. You are coming on. I'm gonna interrogate you. I'm not gonna interview you. I'm gonna interrogate you. It's a threat. I'm gonna interrogate you. You're gonna dissect everything down. Those of you who want to see Nanel on the next, live show, do let me know. Do let me know that if you want to hear how Nanel bought her house and learn all about the buying process and all of that. She's done a YouTube video on it. Check it out. But you should trust me. For those who know me, if I catch somebody on my show, you know what I do? I'm gonna interrogate her. Hello. So somebody's asking, Asani is asking, hello, can you help talk more about ISA? Help to buy accounts, please. ISA help to buy accounts. That is often a very confusing question when people ask me. So what do you mean by ISA help to buy accounts? So because there's a help to buy ISA, which was a scheme to help first-time buyers, so that if you save in a help to buy ISA account, the government added 25%. But that has been cancelled. There is no longer a help to buy ISA. It doesn't exist anymore. That has actually been replaced with a lifetime ISA. So help to buy ISA doesn't exist again. But there is a help to buy equity scheme, which is a scheme where the government helps you buy a place by giving you up to, I think, 20,000 to buy a place. And I think even that is coming to an end at the end of this year or this tax year. That is also coming to an end. So I know, if you can clarify, so what do you mean? Help to buy ISA scheme ended in 2019 or so. That has ended. So that doesn't exist. In fact, if you have a help to buy ISA scheme from the old days, you may be losing out money because it pays less than lifetime ISA. A lifetimizer is better than that. If you don't know what a lifetimizer is, I've got a video on it. Do check it out. The equity scheme is coming to an end. So if you already don't have a place in mind to buy, equity scheme is coming to an end. So I don't know if you want me to still talk about that. Let me know whether I understood your question. Lulu. Oh, Lulu Price. Yeah, I was chatting with you earlier on today. Thanks for joining. Good job, Shadrach, watching you from Abu Dhabi. Thank you. Watching all the way from Abu Dhabi. Thank you. We'll be watching the World Cup from here also. What would you advise between buying a condo or a house without condo fees? I think this must be an American question. When you say condo, do you mean a flat? Like, I think I have an idea. So that's actually a good question. I know that those who are like here in the UK, the main question is often between a flat and a house. Which one should I buy? Me, Shadrach, when it comes to house emotions, I don't really have those emotions for houses. It's what you can afford, bruv. What can you afford? Because when I first came to the UK and I wanted to buy a place, there were people who were telling me, "Oh, don't leave, you don't buy a flat, buy a house where you can get your garden, da da da." And I listened, and I lived in a flat for 3 years. Imagine if I bought the flat and I lived in for 3 years, I would have saved some money. So really, we buy and sell properties here. Buy what you can live. So look at I think I have a video, 5 things you should know before buying a place. That's one of the points I make. Buy a place you think you can live in for 3 years or 2 years, 2 to 5 years. If you can do that, I would buy, knowing that if it's a time, if you want to sell and the prices have crashed, you just wait. After all, you can still live in. People live in flats. I lived in a flat for a long time. In fact, this is the first house I've lived in. If all this while I was living in a flat, if I had bought the place, I would have made some money. So, of course, people's circumstances are different. If you have a family, if you have children who need to play and you can afford a house, go for it. If you cannot afford, if your children live in a flat, they will not die. They will have a common playground. So, sorry, but yeah, I don't tend to keep emotions in these conversations. So, my priority is affordability because I'd rather own a flat and sleep in peace. If you live in a place you can afford, it is God's blessing. The kind of peace of mind you have when you sleep, rather than owning a big place, and you can't even sleep in it because you have to go do extra shifts to pay it. Anyway, it's a matter of choice, and yeah. So Daniel, if you can use a more British phrase, I think condo is very American. I think you should do both. Okay, so I think Daniel was talking about the ISA, the stocks and shares, and then saving to buy a place. Yeah, so you can do both. Put in a savings that will pay you more interest. Okay, cool. In fact, I have a video on juice. On Monday, it's going to be released. Juice. Bank accounts which are paying you proper juice. Yeah. So, somebody told me, Shadrach, how can I buy a car for free? I know you know how to get free things. How can I buy a car for free? Guys. Hello, Doctor. Watching from Luton. Oh, thank you, Rita. Watching from Luton. Thank you. I got it. Whoa. Of course, you got it for 2.58. But the offer is expiring in December and still waiting for my developer to complete. Woo! How do you feel about that? Ooh. What is your developer saying about that, really? So that is a question about buying a place. She's got an agreement in principle for 2.58, which is heaven in these times. But developer is slow or something. What are you going through? Let me know in the comment section. What are your thoughts? What are you doing? Oh. So Nanel says, no, we just bought the house, was not fully ready at the time. Oh, cool, I see. Team Nanel, we need you here together with Shadrach. Yeah, exactly. Nanel, people are already calling for you to come, so come let me interrogate you. Overpaying your mortgage will reduce the amount of interest you pay. Isaac, that's true. The interest compounded on, that's true. Calculated based on outstanding balance. Yeah. Okay, so Isaac is a banker. He doesn't like to say, but he's a banker and he works in this area. So that is true. Overpaying reduces the compounded interest, but it's often little pips, like I will put, when I share this video on the YouTube, I'll put a calculator that helps you determine which is better, whether to save or to overpay. I'll put a calculator that helps. In fact, you just put in the numbers and it will tell you which is better, whether to overpay or to save. Okay, so Rita was saying, talk about the equity one. So the equity scheme, the government, that equity scheme, I have a friend who says, Shadrach, I wish I didn't take this equity scheme. So the equity scheme, what is equity? Equity is share, stock, share. So the government gives you want to buy a place worth 200,000. Of course, there are regional differences. It depends on the area you want to buy. You want to buy a place worth 200,000, but you can't, your affordability is even 150,000. So the government, okay, maybe that's too small. So the government gives you up to 20,000 or 25,000. I'm not sure the number yet. They give you add to your money, and then you buy the place. But now this is the catch. Because the government gave you that money to add to your money to buy the place, they own a portion of your house. They own a percentage, the percentage of the value of the house, they own it. And usually this equity scheme is for only new builds. Now, this is where the government, you think that you day wise. The government day wise pass you. So this is what they do. It's for new builds only, at least in England. In Scotland, it's a different system. In England, it's for new builds only. New builds usually don't come with carpets. It doesn't come with a garden. Sometimes even the tiling in the bathroom has not been done. You have to fix this, fix that. That is not part of the value of the house. That one you pay out of pockets or other means. So that raises the value of your house. But the government gave you 20,000 and they own 5%. So once the value of the property rises because of the work you have done, they don't help you pay that one, but they own 5%. They're like, oh, I gave you 5%. So if you sell, give me my 5%. Whether 5% is 30,000 when you sell, whether it's 50,000, whether it's 10,000, yes, but they own a share. The equity, that is the share they own, is only in terms of that value of the house. But any work you do, you don't go like, oh, Sunak, you own 5% of my house, so I fix the garden, bring 5% of it. No. Anything you do is on you. But once you sell, the value goes up. They take a bit of that money. But it is not that bad because by giving you that 20,000 or that amount, it raised your deposit. And so it reduced your interest from the bank. So that can be a good thing. So you gain there. So it's just a matter of, unfortunately, numbers, seeing how these things work. You ought to remember that after 5 years, the money the government gave you, they start to charge interest on it. In the first 5 years, there's no interest. But after 5 years, they start to charge interest. So your mortgage is already charging interest, and the government also starts charging interest. So often what you want to do is that you want to save somewhere or overpay so that by the end of the 5 years, you pay off the government's own and then you own your house. Or you remortgage and then pay off the government because you don't want to maybe owe to owning the bank is enough, but equity scheme is ending, I think, next year or something. So if you are thinking of buying with equity scheme, you should have done it by now. If not, it's not available. Now there's a different scheme available. I'll talk about it in a future video, whereby you can buy the house for 50% lower than the price. Yes, it's sweet, but you can't sell the house for the value. You always have to sell at that peak also. So it's good to get onto the property ladder, but it's also got its disadvantages anyway. Oh, a lot of comments now. What's the time? Oh, we should be ending soon. 56. All right, I'll read the comments and then answer those I need to answer. So please talk about the equity one. Equity 2 has ended for new application. Yeah, exactly. So thank you very much, Oluwa Bogo, that equity scheme application has ended on 31st October. So that's what I was talking about. People who got in before it ended must get their keys latest by March 2023. So equity scheme is ending. Thank you very much for the dates. We are waiting. So we are waiting for the crash. Yeah, I know. You guys are waiting. Some of us are also waiting for the crash. We've been preparing for this time. You think you're alone. We are all waiting for the crash. And that's the beauty about, I don't want to get into talking about properties for now. It doesn't mean you can't save. If you buy the right place, if you buy the right house, which you can afford, and still not be house poor, because you buy a big house, all your money is paying mortgage. You can't even save. It's not great. If you can still save, the crash will come, and we will see those who survive. Yeah, but yeah, thanks for that. We are waiting for the crash. We wanted to buy last year, but London. Oh yeah, Rita says. So, is there new scheme coming up soon? Yeah. So there's a scheme that's already out, but it picks the price of the houses at 50%. The concern is that it can help you build equity to go and buy a new place. So I'll put a link to the description box below to see how those work. Lifetime ISA, of course, after 39 years. So if you're over 40 years, you can't do lifetime ISA. from Glasgow, Bridgeton. Hey, oh wow, yeah, in Bridgeton. I know Bridgeton. I know Bridgeton. I know Bridgeton. Um, Condo apartments, you pay a lifetime condo fees even after paying up your mortgage. House is without condo fees. It's for North America. Yeah, yeah. Condo is a very so it's like flats here. So flats in the UK, you pay ground rent if you don't own. So well, maybe that's one other disadvantage of the flat. If you buy a flat, the land on which the flat somebody owns the land with it. Usually the one on the ground floor. So you may pay ground rent. In Scotland, we don't have that nonsense. We don't have it here in Scotland. It's an English thing. Yeah, leave it to the English people. They do those things. In England, in Scotland, we don't do. There's no ground rent here, so that can also influence where you buy and all of that. But usually, ground rent may be £100 a month or £50 a month. You just have to add it to your expenses. Something to be aware of. Um, Thank you very much, Daniel, for that. I would like a video on how to buy a new development. Okay, okay, cool. The equity scheme is no more. Thank you very much, Peter, for that intervention too. Very anxious. Oh, Akos. Oh yeah, they keep pushing the completion date due to delays. I'm on their case now and always full. Oh yeah. So Akos is the one who said she has an agreement in principle for 2.58, but her developers are not done, and the deal is expiring in December. I really can't, imagine how you feel because after you lose that, what is the rate you're going to get? But would you want to get another agreement in principle on the blind side? Keep it so that in the worst case, at least you get something better. But no, no, I feel for you. I feel for you. I'm glad we didn't do the help to buy, but we'll continue to save in the ISA account. So are you talking of lifetime ISA account? Yeah. A video on the difference between buying an old house and buying new developments. I'll do that, Rita, because I've got many friends who bought new houses, and they are beautiful. Oh, one of them knows how much I love his house. Two of them actually, they know how I love. But I bought an old house, but you wouldn't know. I mean, it's beautiful. They love it. I love it. That's all that matters. It's an old house. Condo is more affordable, but you pay condo fees for maintenance. Okay, not sure if fees. Not sure if fees are paid to maintain a property in the UK. Yeah, so if you are in a flat, you may pay. Here in Scotland, we call it a factoring. So the common areas in the flat, like the garden and the common areas, you may pay something small also to maintain those places. Um, Thank you very much, guys. It's 8 o'clock. Unless there's a burning question, I would like to be wrapping up. Um, After all this equity scheme explanation, no more interested in it to be. Oh, right. I hope you are deciding from an information point of view. I've not discouraged you from buying, with the help. Actually, the equity scheme was good, actually. It helped many people to get onto the ladder because I know friends who there is no way, how do you save 50,000 to go? No way, but equity scheme gave them 20,000 and that was a boost and it reduced their interest rates. So now what they are doing is saving like crazy to pay off the government of their case because if you don't, all the work you do in your work, all the beautification, if it increases the value, Sunak will be standing there smiling that, yeah, keep doing it, Yeah, so, but no, it was good for them. It was good for them. So it's a matter of understanding. And you can't gain it all. Some of us thought we were wise. Fixed for 2 years, it will come down more. And now it's not down anymore, it's rising. I'm like, yeah. Oh, so Cecil is saying that the equity scheme is expired, however, I can keep the account. So help to buy ISA. If you had it, you can still continue to pay, and the government will pay you the bonus. But between lifetime ISA and help to buy ISA, I had a help to buy ISA. The help to buy ISA, if you have it, you can only pay £200 maximum per month. So in a year, you can only pay 2,400, except the first year where you could pay 3,400. So in the end, the maximum interest you can earn. Check my YouTube banner, John. My WhatsApp is there. My YouTube, Facebook is there. I'm really responsive. I'm like a keyboard warrior, waiting for your message to come. Like type hello, hello. Like I just go on like that. So I'm very accessible. So still on the help by ISA, the maximum you can save in a tax year is 2,400, meaning the maximum bonus you can get from the government is £600. Lifetime ISA will give you £1,000 if you save £4,000. I think, lifetime ISA beats help to buy ISA. So if you have I had a help to buy ISA. I liquidated it and took the money out because currently it even pays 1%. Yeah, for this, I'm discouraging you. If you have a help to buy ISA, unless you are thinking of buying in less than a year, then certainly keep it. But if you're thinking of buying after a year and you've not saved too much into it, then yeah, I'll move my money into into a lifetime ISA. Unless you want to buy within a year or you've saved so much that you've saved over 8,000 or something. But yeah, thank you so much, guys, for joining. In order not to bore others who will join later, I'll be ending the live stream now. But check my banner. My Facebook is there. My Telegram is there. My WhatsApp is there. My bank account is there. My blood group is there. My everything is there. Contact me, search me, and then let's keep interacting. I love talking about these things, and I hope I've been able to serve you well this evening. God bless you, and talk to you soon. Check out my next videos that are coming out on Monday. I'll be uploading. A friend of mine said, Shadrach, now you're uploading back to back to back to back. I'll be serving you back to back to back to back to back. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you, Nanel. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Cecil. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Dagbo. Thank you, John. Everyone who joined. Kindly share the link with people to watch. I hope you've been well served this evening. Bye.